Welcome everybody to this session on a day in the life of a product line owner. Paul, Hugh and myself will take you through this day. We'll do a little bit of role playing and we'll have some time for Q&A at the end indeed. Now, we will be playing the different roles as you'll see, and you will also perhaps be playing a role if we get some chance to do some audience participation. There may be some polls as well cropping up. But let me first of all start off by saying a few words about what we mean with smart products. These are, we look at these as physical products, so things you can hold, touch, but with a significant component of software in them. Now, this is something, of course, we've had years and years of hardware with software in, but it's taking on increasing amounts, and we're getting embedding in many new and innovative ways. But we're also, of course, seeing higher degrees of connectivity in these smarter products. So not only are these products standalone with their software, but they are connecting back to the manufacturers to supply information about use. Yeah, you can think of the Internet of Things. They're also connecting to other products. Think about these systems of systems, cars which are connecting to traffic lights, planes which are connecting to satellites and other planes and so on, medical devices, wearables. I'm sure there are going to be edibles coming before too long, so we'll have these smart products in and around the body, in and around the house, and in and around the environment. And this is, of course, a tremendous new set of opportunities for the coming years for many manufacturers, but it does also bring with it certain challenges, certain complexities. As I mentioned, we've got software in the component, in the product, and outside the product, and these have to be combined and interact. We've got the assembly of these products becoming more and more digitized itself and needing to be made more flexible to cater for these different types of products. We need to think about sustainability because new doors are open. It's not only that a product goes out of the door and it's never seen or felt again except for problems. Now it's possible to upgrade, sustain, extend these products as they are already out in the market. And if we use the word sustain, we also think about sustainability, the green side of things, the extended ecosystem there, and making sure that it is possible to sustain these products in a green way. Coupled with, of course, like other products, price pressure in this global market, and needing to generate enough revenue and enough margin. So that gives a little bit of a background about smart products. And the way we at Sophion have looked at this, the lens through which we try to look at this environment, I'm going to show you on this picture here. Now, I'm not going to dive into every detail at the moment. It's also a slide which we will return to a couple of times during the presentation. And I want to just draw your attention, first of all, to these two boxes on the left-hand side here and the line in the middle. So a distinction in the upper area here between product management, feature management, in the context of a company with different product lines, different brands operating in different regions, each product line with its own products and commercial variants. Think of the kind of bronze, silver, and gold variants going to different regions, perhaps, and think about different features being combined into different products, perhaps across product lines, meeting certain needs in certain market segments. And so decision-making at this level, innovation decision-making, thinking about which product lines do we want to boost a little bit more, which do we want to emphasize a little bit less, which new features can we have, which brands to emphasize, and so on. And those decisions at the top there then are reflected in the below this line here in the project work. We need to make things happen. We want to launch a product into a region at a particular time with a set of commercial variants. And so then this product needs to be realized. There need to be projects running a whole program to make sure that the features which need to be realized are realized, the product can be assembled and brought to market in time for the launch. And that's what we want to talk about today. That's what we want to do a little bit of role playing about. And if that was Act 1, let's think about moving over to Act 2, where we'll do that role playing. And Paul, myself, and Hoob will take on different roles. Paul will be the product line owner. I'll be the product line manager. Hoob, the project program manager for Pelican Appliances, a manufacturer of smart products, domestic products, ovens, refrigerators, ovens, and so on and so forth. And that's the scene, the setting of the scene that we have for this role playing. And I'd now like to transition over to Paul as the product line owner, waking up one morning and having a think. Paul.
Thank you, Colin. Yeah, so if you want to, the first part is scene 1, where I see a gap. Now, how do I find that gap? So I'm responsible for a product line called Cooking and Health. And in looking at my management information system, go ahead, Colin, next slide, thanks. I look at my management information system, I see that there's a revenue gap next year of $8 million. And this is this is a section, it's a dashboard called my KPIs, and I can just see how I'm doing against targets, and I have this gap. Now, there could be many reasons for this gap, and I could explore them in my management information system. One reason is that the gap might have always been there, and we just haven't turned our attention to it yet. Another is that the gap is new. Possible reasons for a new gap: perhaps we're having difficulty with a certain product due to a supply chain problem. We're all pretty much aware now of the global microprocessor shortage. So that could have caused that gap. We might be having difficulty with a product because of that. Our target might have increased. Maybe nothing's changed in the blue line, but we decided as a company we need to get a little bit more, and my share of that is an increase in $8 million next year. Maybe our field organization reduced its forecast. Something happened out there, and they're no longer projecting to sell the amount of product that they were going to sell. We might have created the gap ourselves because we chose to exit a market. So lots of reasons that gap could be there. In this session today, we're not going to explore the reasons for the gap at this time, right? But the management information system would allow that. What I want to focus on is the gap. So I've got a meeting coming up, and I'm going to have to present to the senior management of the company how we're going to close this gap. I, as the owner of the product line, am being called in to address that. So I need to think about some options. So let me start by looking at the launch calendar for next year. And so this is in my system. I can see the way it's organized. I have swim lanes by the regions where we operate. And each one of these items here is a launch of a product or a variant for that region. And you'll see that there's North America, there's different regions, and then there's multi-region down the bottom, which means those products are really going to be sold in multiple regions. And the timeline across the top, I can see that the beginning of 2020, of next year, 2022, is very busy in the multi-region. There's a launch every few weeks. But then I can see, just glancing down, there's a lot of room out there in Q3 and Q4. And so I think of that as space in the market. And I could look at, maybe we could move some of those products that are launching in 2023. We might bring them in. So that could be one strategy. I could work with the business leaders in the geographies where we sell our products, and perhaps they can come up with some more revenue. But I'm thinking what I'd really like to do, knowing my business, knowing what's going on, I'd like to see if we could create a new product and launch it in that space in Q2. But I really need to look at some deeper options. So I need to have a check on my engineering capacity to see how that's shaping up. So another dashboard in my management information system is showing me that capacity in the middle chart there. And next year has some gap. I already know that we're overcommitted this year, but that's not what's causing our revenue gap for next year. I know that, and it's something I'm already managing. But could I use that capacity that's available next year to create a new product? Well, maybe I could. So that new product idea is still an approach that I'm liking. I like the timing of it. I like the fact that I know we have the budget. I won't have to worry about the costs involved in getting there. So let me look a bit deeper at the financials for my product line. So this is a phase-in plan for my product line, and it's showing all my products across the various regions. This is forecasted by people in the regions, not by the local product owners like Colin Tattersall, who you'll meet in a minute, but it's forecasted by the sales organization. So I have a high degree of confidence in these numbers. And I'm looking at these things, and I might want to look to see, could I, again, if I did want to pull some of those launches earlier, what's the magnitude of those? That was an option I was thinking about when I was looking at the launch plan. So I'm going to spend quite a bit of time in this Excel sheet in a what if. I see my target of 140 million at the top, and I see my gap is there. So I might move some things around and do the things you do in Excel to play some what ifs to see if I did. And I've done that, and there's just not enough. There's not enough I can do. So I'm really convinced that we need a new product. It's going to have to bring in 8 million next year at least, and we need to do it quickly. So I know it would be, well, from what I know about product line, it should be fairly straightforward from a hardware point of view. So I need to have a consultation with others. So that's my problem. We were going to do a poll about this, but we just, there's not enough people, you know, you have to have a good mass of people. Not enough people have been able to join us this morning. So we're going to bypass the polls. But my problems, to sum up, are I need a system that gives me information and makes me aware, allows me to get to the financial details. I have a gap. I need to understand, assess if I have room, and maybe come up with some ideas. So I have an idea. I know the path I want to go through. I'm not worried about investment costs. So I'll set up a meeting in our collaboration tool, Microsoft Teams, with Colin. Colin's a product manager, and he's having a lot of success. So I'd like to see what he thinks. So it'll take some work, and we'll need a space to collaborate. Microsoft Teams is our tool. So let me open up. And hi, Colin. Can you create a new product for next year that will bring in 8 million in revenue before the end of the year? Over to you.
Wow, that's an interesting request. I'm getting a little bit hot under the collar already, but let's have a think. It's something that's got to be launched quickly. We can't delay a long time. We can't go to the back end of 2022. We got to launch no late, really in the first half. So we can't have something that's too complex, too sophisticated, either from a hardware or software point of view. We have a number of features that we are already working on. You know, we've got our tech labs, more on, let's say, on the earlier side of the innovation, are looking at different features. We've got some that are already being realized, already been put into new products, but we've got some which are in elaboration, being investigated. And I was just going through the list, the portfolio of these new features. Now, some are less applicable, but there was one that jumped out at me. It was something we've been looking at with the tech labs. It's called Family and Friends, What's Cooking Tonight? Now, we know that in the telecommunications world, subscription services worked well. They generated people to buy in and share and get in a group to use services together. And one possibility we have is if we took one of our existing relatively successful ovens, we upgraded it because we need a little bit more connectivity. Yeah, in terms of perhaps a new Wi-Fi responder we need on there, perhaps a new generation of that. But then we added a website around this, a secure website for groups. Yeah, you can join with your family. I could go in there with my friends. Maybe they're distant around the world. We can see who's cooking at any particular time. We can share photos. And perhaps we could also think about, and this is what was successful in telecommunications, if we had some kind of cashback The more people who are in one of these groups with one of our products, the more attractive it would be financially somehow. Yeah, that we could make it more attractive for this group to expand and use our products. So that might be a way. If we took a relatively straightforward hardware approach, we upgraded and we added this software envelope around it. So that would be my suggestion, Paul. That would be, I think we could make that for next year. We could take it to the regions. Let's see what they could do with it.
I really like that idea, Colin. Let's pursue that. I'd like you to not worry about the investment required. Just worry about your concept, your idea. Is it feasible? What would the profile of revenue look like? And let me know. But please pursue that.
Okay, that's great. So what I'm first going to be thinking of is to define the product. Yeah, of course, I'm at Pelican Appliances, and we're in the cooking and health product line. And I was thinking, we know that the 90 centimeter oven is a good seller. And what about if we had a product based on that? Let's Connect 90 centimeter oven. It's a standard oven, as I said, but we've got this extra experience around it. And we could describe the team and the product in this way. We could also think about what is the, let's say, business profile. Let's think about what the target market is and the value, which business model, because we've got this cashback scenario we need to take into account. That's going to affect our margins, so we have to think about that business model. We might need to think about regulatory triggers if it's going to be connected and online. There are security and encryption issues. We don't want to get into trouble in that area. And the reason to define it like this is so that I could then go to parts of our organization and they would be able to understand what is it we're trying to achieve with this over the coming years, why are we introducing it so quickly, and why has it got this nature, why has it got this definition. So that would be giving a business profile. The other thing that's in the back of my mind is, should we perhaps introduce a number of different variants of this? Perhaps a basic version, a foundation version, a more extended, a premium version. But I'm a little bit conscious that will increase complexity. That will make it more difficult, certainly from the hardware side, for us to achieve a launch mid next year. So if I think about the real definition alongside that business profile, I think we should go for just one commercial variant. Let's make a universal variant. So the manufacturing side doesn't have to cope with all these different possibilities, but let's go to all our regions. Let's try and maximize the breadth, the reach of this product when we launch it. Africa, China, Europe, and so on. But what about launching across the world on the same day? Yeah, we could do some great things in the marketing side of things. Let's connect. We had people connecting in Australia with their family in China, with family in Africa. We could have a great day. Think about Connect Day, C Day. We could launch that way, and I think that would stimulate. We could get some good vibe going as we launch this new product. So, I'm enthusiastic about it, but I've got to make sure not only that it's my enthusiasm, but I've got to make sure out in the regions, people think it will sell. So I need to talk to the regions, explain the business profile, explain this rollout, and then ask them, as you were talking about, for their estimates. So let's think about North America, having the conversation with them. They might say, Colin, yeah, if you get it to us by May the 15th, 2022, so that we can launch that day, yeah, we haven't got the full year, but we've got some of, a lot of 2022. We think we could sell a particular number, say 4,000, price of $300. That's going to generate a certain amount of revenue in 2022. We might move on 2023, 24, etc. We could give that kind of estimate. Future business profile could be like this. And I've got to do that in another region. Oceania, we'll do the same. We'll ask them. And in Africa, we'll ask the regional people there, what do you think you can sell in 2022, 2023, and so on. Same again, South America. And that gives us a profile by region. This is what the revenue is going to be. And we can use that then to look at the oven in totality. what do we think we're going to generate in 2022, 23 and onwards? And you can see here, of course, we haven't got the cost yet, but the regions think they're enthusiastic enough, 10 million could be generated next year already. Now, we've still got to get the cost side in. So it's not all, we're not there yet, but this seems to me to be a good alternative. And I'm going to get back into Teams, contact Paul and say, this is what I think we should go with, Paul. Have I got your backing? Even though we don't have the full picture yet, can we progress?
Yep, Colin. I know that we have funding, so don't worry about that. Let's do it. Let's go with that plan. Let's make it happen.
That's great, Paul. That's great. So now I'm going to get in touch with my good friend and program product manager, Hugo Rutten, and we're going to have a think about actually realizing how are we going to make this. We know what the launch date is. Let's go and produce it. Now over to you, Hugo.
Okay, so you have a nice assignment for me. So you want us to bring this new commercial variant to market by May 15, 22, and to the various regions, then to be shipped to the various regions for sales, right? That is what my understanding.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. So the challenge is to get that done, and I am the project program manager, and let me dwell a little bit into the word program. So back to the original diagram that you started this presentation with. So now we are under the line. We have to realize your plan to bring this commercial variant to the various regions and make sure that we manage it. You are not so much aware of the cost, not so much necessarily the costs are not so relevant. That is exceptional actually, which is fine for us, but we are under pressure, so we need to do it. So what now is the issue, Colin? The issue is that I have to get together a team of people because I have to set up a program. It's not one product, one project. No, it's not one project. At a very high level, you could say it is one project, but in practice, when you look at the people engaged in it and the work to be done, it is a program of projects. And the first thing I need to do as a project program manager is working from this level, do the product realization, and this product realization project, this is like a supra project, has to make sure that these commercial variants are launched. But it cannot do it on its own. It has to have two features in this case. You have the website feature and you have the Wi-Fi feature, right? One is a hardware feature, the other one is a software feature. I need to make sure that I, in my team, have two chief engineers who can, let's say, commit to this work, to do that in time, and who have, let's say, the resources to create the development work, which you have down here. The same is true for the assembly side, because if the assembly line cannot produce the thing, you cannot launch it. And to launch it, the assembly side has to work closely together in this case, because under pressure with the feature guys to make sure that the feature guys, that they develop the feature in such a way that the system engineers who are at the product realization level, that they can bring it all together in one network that should work and make sure that the assembly line doesn't have difficult things to do. That means that the assembly people are engaged in the decision-making in the feature realization projects. So when the feature realization project makes a design, the assembly guys, the manufacturing guys, should be in a position to approve that, to review it and approve it. The same is true for the system engineer. So the system engineers basically is in the middle and they look technically to this side. Here you also have other people that we need to engage with. We need to engage with the quality people, with the product safety people, with the financial people, with marketing, because the market campaign has to be started to be on the 15th of May. So at this level, they have a multifunctional, cross-functional process that we need to organize to get going. So your request to do this program means that we have to organize many departments, many people, not only technical people, to get this done. Is that clear for you, Colin? That takes time. So I need your support to help me and explain to these people why it is so relevant that you get active and prioritize this project for you.
You certainly have my support. I know it's not an easy task, but you're the man for the job, surely, Huub.
Yeah, so I will set up some meetings and talk to you. Now, suppose we've done that and everybody is prepared to work in this program, then what you would see is at the top level project is this realization project. And this will do the product and bring in the end the product in the market. And what you see here are phases and decision points, phases and decision points. We don't have really gates where you can stop the whole thing. That is not what we want. But what you have here is very important point is a freeze gate. The freeze gate is really a gate. We call it a decision point where you, after that point, nobody changes the specifications anymore. We know exactly what to deliver. We know exactly when to deliver, and nobody does any change anymore, because from this point on, assembly will do investments, CapEx investments, for instance, in new robots to produce your commercial variant. So we need to make sure that this project here, with many deliverables underneath, is aligned very much with these two. Here we have two feature realization projects belong to the chief engineers, and the chief engineers, they already again have projects underneath to develop the stuff. They also have like a phase and a decision point. And again, you see here the freeze, and this freeze point is a dependency point for the product level. So if this is a subsystem, the product level is the system level. And the same is true for the hardware side. So what we in fact do is we coordinate the hardware and the software at the top level, where they do system demos, where we have alignment technically and so on between the groups of people. If you look at the entire program, then you see it here in a roadmap view. In the swim lanes, you see that we have a product realization project. I am leading that one. And then we have assembly preparation. A colleague from the manufacturing is leading that. We have two feature realization ones. And these feature realization ones have development projects underneath. Also, assembly has development projects underneath. Also, the assembly line to be modernized for this new product needs software and needs hardware. And it's sometimes people forget that the innovation of the production line is also like a hybrid, hybrid story. It's hardware and it is software, and they have the same kind of development needs as you have on the product side, where you have features and hardware and software features for the product. So this coordination is quite a complex thing in various terms. And the most important one I will show you now is like here you have the end. It has to be delivered by then. That means manufacturing has to be ready by then. The features has to be ready earlier. And here you see these two moments. This is the freeze moment. This freeze moment at the product realization level, at the assembly preparation level, has to be the same moment. These have to be before these moments. So it's not only, by the way, then a timely dependency. There is also technical dependency that we will manage by reviews and approvals from manufacturing and system into the feature levels. And this is the way how we make sure that technically, as well as time, from a time perspective, everything in the whole program is managed. So if we then move to the time management, I'll give you one small example. I'm already there, Colin. So we have here our, this is like a time manager where we manage the dependencies. Here you have the product realization project. We have the assembly preparation project. We have two features. If we open them, you would see a couple of hundreds of deliverables. Of course, we don't do that now, but that is what you would see in practice, that needs to be coordinated. So if you would down this list, if you would scroll down, this would be a long list of deliverables that are dependent for each other. The features always have to be, are critical to the system level. Assembly as well. So in terms of timing, that needs to be done. One small example, for instance, to do the product safety, inspection and approval at the product level here, you need to have information from the design freezes. They cannot do that job before they are there. And you see one of them is late and should be moved forward. or this one has to go backward. So if this is not in time, this thing cannot be in time. So every detail here can be a problem. Well, and that is true for the entire program. Let me now go back, Colin. Here I have management information slide for yourself. So the whole program creates data, and from that data, management information is created for Colin, as also for Paul at a higher level, but specifically for Colin. Colin sees here, we have the target, the first launch date here, the earliest revenue start date here, and here is the program of projects that are going on. And what we see is that one of them is a sub-project, a software sub-project, hey, that is red. Well, the whole program can be fantastic, but if this thing is red and it's critical, the business for Paul can be in danger. And I think that the awareness that all this hangs together, that you have a program of projects with many people that needs to be coordinated in time and technology, is so important that to make sure that we can do the business that we all need to make sure that we are paid our salary at the end of the month. So by having said that, Colin, I think this is what I wanted to make clear to everybody. We are jumping over to Paul, I think, and we have a Q&A session from now. Colin, you can take it over from me.
Yeah, thanks, Huub. So we started at the top. We went from Paul, we went through me, and we went on to Huub. I suppose we're at Q&A. Let's open up, see if anybody's got questions, remarks, comments. I suppose I could have a look at the chat first. I'm not sure if there's anything in the chat at the moment, but if anybody has other remarks, please let us know.
Yes, please type your questions or maybe just raise your hand. Feel free to come unmute yourself and ask your question. As we get started, I did notice a lot of screenshots throughout the presentation. Is that from a specific product that you all offer or work with on a regular basis? I heard Microsoft Teams, but yeah. I know the other flow there.
That's right. Yeah, just to clarify, indeed, that's we were showing screenshots from Accolade for Smart Products. That's our prefab product on top of our Accolade platform, and specifically directed, designed for this kind of smart product software and hardware, the product management side, the project management side. That's available, and it supports exactly the dialogues, exactly the roles that we were just playing with today.
Wonderful. Thank you. Pause for just a moment. Anybody have questions? I can't see everyone's faces, so please feel free to just unmute yourself. Okay, well, I have another one as well. So, as you're going through this process, we didn't dive too much into the development work itself. How would you say that's supported throughout your process, throughout this process that you outlined?
Do you want to have a few words on that, Huub?
Yeah, that is fine. So I go back, perhaps I can show that screen. Do you still see my screen?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So if you look at the whole program, the real development work is here. So you could have a hardware development, for instance, electrical system, that could be managed in a PLM system, a product lifecycle management system, where you also have the BOM for it. The preparation of the assembly line could also be managed through a PLM system. If you would have a software development project that would be developed with the support of one or another, I don't know what, DevOps or Jira and so on, a software development system. These are dedicated systems to support development teams in their technical work. And at the coordination level, we are only interested in the results of that and in the status of it. So, and that is all collected at this level, in the sub-project level. So the chief engineer creates a sub-project with an instruction and an expectation for the development projects. And they have to deliver, in fact, to him or to deliver to him or her. And that then gives you the information that you need, whether, for instance, a software project is ready, yes or no. What we are interested in, if a software project is not doing fine, it can have, if you roll it up, a high impact on launching this commercial variant. And the distance between this here, the region where the thing has to be launched, and the product line owner, that distance is quite a distance. You see that? And that is what we need to manage carefully. So the development work is outside of our system, is managed by development tools, basically development workbenches. Clear?
Mm-hmm.
Good.
I'll pause again. Great. Okay, I'm just going to keep going with my questions then. Seems maybe I'm hitting on the ones that they need to hear. So what really has we've seen this, this is a great approach, and it makes perfect sense as you guys outline this and play the different roles. How would you say this approach relates to other methodologies? Or if we're already using another methodology, how could this integrate in, or what would be a transition into this type of process, if you will?
Paul, that's maybe a good one for you, because I know you've done a lot on this kind of thing, the different methodologies and so on.
Yeah. That is the key, is that there are so many methodologies that are being used. There are the agile software methodologies, there are the waterfall, still very applicable for certain types of software. You've got a contractor developing something, so you're not even developing it, it's happening out in some other system. And so, as Hoop said, the important thing is to bring information in, to centralize it somehow, so you have one place of the truth, one source of truth across wherever that's happening. And so that's what you have to do. And then you're next to those development methodologies. You're very close to them. The key dates, for instance, that freeze date as an example, but Hoop showed many other dates as well. Those are the important alignment points, right? Those are where you're saying, okay, how's it going? Are we ready? Are things on track? They're through the daily meetings you have with your external supplier. If it's something you're buying, you're going to want to record in a system. Are they on track? What's their status, right? So by those type of actions, or if it's an internal system, you're going to want to source that automatically from that other development system. So they're all running potentially different processes, and that's why we stayed away from the development processes and focused more on the information you need to align those feature projects with the realization of the entire product, with the assembly. Colin, does that answer the question?
Yeah, I think that's a good overview indeed, Paul. Yeah.
Perhaps I can add one thing to it, which is perhaps nice for the audience. I once interviewed the CEO, and I asked him about methodologies, and he said to me, he said, give me the name of any methodology and I swear you, I have it in my company. And so if you would go to big companies, you will find always many, many different methodologies. And we think that it is an illusion to let's say, unify that in one methodology, whatever methodology it would be. If you want to force a complete company with very different disciplines and very different functions into one methodology, nobody would be happy, because software developers want to work like that. Industrial designers want to work like that. Mechanical engineers, they have their way of working. Marketing people have their way of working, their own things. Financial people have their own applications. So can you imagine, if you look at the community of people that contribute to one product that has to go to the market in different variants, how diversified that landscape is. So it would be an illusion to think that everybody goes in the same methodology. And that's why we go just a little bit higher in the middle, try to coordinate everything. and let everybody work in the way he thinks the best way is of working. Paul?
Yeah, good answer. Yep,
Yeah.
Thanks for adding to that.
And thinking, kind of developing on that, I think that's one of probably the key benefits to this type of process, is that it really looks at that higher level and how everyone communicates together. Are there other benefits that you would kind of identify utilizing this process outside of that?
I think there's benefit to be had in, let's say, not only thinking about the development or innovation projects, but also putting the layer on of products and the product life cycle, and within the context of a product line, regions, and so on. And especially, I think, if we think about smart products, which can have a life which is much longer than a traditional product. As I mentioned, these things can be sustained. You can get new updates as a consumer for your washing machine. You can get that over the air these days. And so you have to think, I think, not only about this, how to run the set of projects, but how to think about managing generations of your products in different regions with different variants and so on. So I think that's another aspect, I would say, in addition to the coordination thread that we've got, is this product and feature management above the line and the coordination of the program of projects below the line.
Yeah, and Colin, I would just add to that, a natural friction point is it's easy to say, well, from the software team, look, we've got a minimal viable product. We'll get it out there. Don't worry, we'll upgrade it later. We're a little bit behind on schedule, but we can't really get it done in time. But here's our approach: minimal viable product, update later. But what is often the case is, for many products, there is a regulatory cycle that's involved. And that may not be acceptable and may not be feasible. We've seen significant impacts in the world where the software wasn't aligned and wasn't correct with the physical hardware, and that's what the regulatory piece has to look in totality as the whole thing. So having that understanding and trying to bring that together, that awareness, is really important.
Yeah, I agree, Paul. Thanks. Yeah.
There's also the word innovation, I think, is here also a little bit at stake. So we see what we do as innovation management. But the innovation management is not only the ideation in the beginning, or a new technology, or breakthrough, whatever idea that somebody has on an island, but it is not that simple. The innovation process, today, is not only idea to launch, it is a much more after launch. So what do you do with all these products once they are in the market? And what is the innovation going around with that? And that is not like a free beer. Like Paul said, the minimum viable product, it's not realistic in that sense. So that it might be true for a startup, but for a big company that, for instance, makes medical devices, they go through cycles of testing, cycles of certification before you can do that, and before you are even allowed to do a software upgrade for a medical device that somebody has on the body. So that is part of the innovation management process. And sometimes I feel that in innovation conferences is a lot of focus on the eureka moment. I invented something and that will be fantastic and great. But if we go to the reality of where we work with big companies to get new products to the market on a continuous way, in a continuum, that is not an easy thing to do. And that needs a hard work, many people involved, and big programs. I think that is, so that whole innovation concept is a lot broader than many people, I would say, sometimes think.
Very true.
And perhaps that is an idea for one of your next conferences.
Yeah. Yes, I'll have to keep that in mind. Thank you.
Yeah.
We did have one question from the audience, so I'll just read it out here. What are the type of companies and vertical market that have such challenges in hybrid product development?
I think we can think of consumer durables. Yeah, so the manufactured goods, the smart ovens, smart, the smart home. But there are also the medical device manufacturers that Hugh was talking about, a lot of hardware and software in there, and also the connectivity. So medical device in the hospital, which needs to connect to other hospital systems and so on. And you can think about interoperability and so on and so forth there. Industrial manufacturers, the manufacturers of robots, which are used further on they've got hardware and software. And in some ways, we can take this in a very broad way. We're talking about wearable, smart clothing is going to be out there. We've got automobiles, of course. So I think it's in many, many industries. And dealing with the different methods, but dealing with the life cycles and dealing with, sustaining. I think that's something that's going to be fairly ubiquitous in a lot of different areas. I don't know whether you want to say a few words, Hugh or Paul, as well.
Yeah, I've talked to a number of companies in chemicals, food and beverage, and while they say not yet, we don't have this hardware, software, we don't have this type of smart products, we see it coming. And I think it could potentially move extremely quick in the beverage area, for example. It's just the beverages expire, right? And then people have cases of beverages in their basement. They've got the refrigerator full, and they don't know that things are expiring, and there's no way to tell them right now. But that may come. And there may be technology. There may be things on the can of beer that tell the refrigerator, hey, this stuff is you drink it tonight because it won't be any good tomorrow, right? So they see these kind of things coming. They don't have the problems yet in those industries, but they see it coming.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, one more pause for questions here. All right, well, you all seem to be very thorough. I know we gained a lot from this role play and this conversation and just walking us through the different steps. A very unique way to look at it. So thank you very much. Thank you for such a great session. I am gonna post the chat for those who want to join. This is our last session for this week. We still have 2 more weeks left of Unconference, so do join us. The link is there in the chat, as well as a link so you can join the discussion. So if any questions do come up for Colin, Paul, or Hugh, please post them on the community platform. We can make sure we get those answers for you. So thank you all again. Any final words as we wrap up today's session?
Just want to say thanks, Kate. You're a very great host. Yeah, go ahead, Colin.
Sorry. Now we're all speaking at once. Thanks, Kate, and thanks everyone in the audience, and Hugh and Paul. I like doing the role play. We saw the picture of Tom Hanks. Maybe we've still got a little bit of acting work to do before we get to reach that level, but it was enjoyable.
Very much so. All right, well, thank you, everyone. Have a wonderful rest of your day or evening, and we'll see you in the next session. Thank you again, Colin, Paul, and Hugh.
Bye-bye. Bye.
Bye-bye.